welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am going to review She-Hulk Episode 5. In short, another fun week of She-Hulk. There's been a lot of people getting in a tizzy over it because it's not the traditional show. Not only is it not going like all the other Marvel shows, which had a actual narrative, like a clear narrative with other things happening. Not only is it not doing that, but like I said, it seems to be capturing kind of that, as I would like to call it, supernatural vibe. Well, not even supernatural vibe, maybe where it's stuff, no, Rick and Morty, that's it. It seems to be doing more of the Rick and Morty approach in terms of, now granted, it's supposed to be playing it up like it is a sitcom, like it is a Ally McBeal procedural sitcom, which, you know, different things happening every week, you know, every week without an actual, like, now granted, I will point out to some people who probably have missed this because they've been too busy, either they've been busy enjoying the show so much and laughing that they haven't really noticed it, or they're on the opposite spectrum, like a couple people who are like, this is just too jokey and I want, why can't this be more serious and have a serious narrative? So this isn't really a story, this isn't really anything, like, yeah, I don't want to have fun, boo, 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 fun, hate fun. We got you. You hate fun, you want ass-puckering seriousness, you want Lego Batman level darkness, no parents, we get it. But there actually has been a thing happening with her in the background of all these things. And it's like, it's not like highlighted, but it glimpses and shows up multiple times throughout the course of the show. Multiple times. And it's her relationship with being She-Hulk has shifted over the course of the show. And in this episode, another bing kind of happened of her, how she feels about being She-Hulk. But I'll get into that when I get into it. But this episode really is about two things. One, Titania's trying to take her name. Yeah, you know, and like, and one thing, you know, the dangers of like really like branding and like copyright claims, man. Copyright is a serious thing. And the idea that's like, you know how many like times of, I'm sure you guys can comment in the comment section, how many big like major sites or major companies didn't even own the rights to their own name, like they didn't even own the rights to make their .com, their website, the name of their company because someone else owned the name, so they had to pay them to get it. So like, copyright is a shit and a half, dude. It is a lot. And it can get messy real quick. And the idea that Titania copyrighted the She-Hulk name, because of course Jen didn't copyright it, because she didn't care, you know, she didn't think about it at the time, and she is right. None of these other superheroes have ever had to do that. Well, because none of these other superheroes are, their actual profession in public life is connected like that. None of them have it like that, except for her. You know, obviously Tony being Iron Man, but Tony Stark has a mountain of money and lawyers, so no one's gonna be able to fucking, you know, copyright Iron Man and get that away from him. Captain America, Steve Rogers, it's more symbolic, and the government probably owns all that shit. You know, so there's a lot like Falcon. I'm sure somebody owns the rights to Falcon, but the thing that I absolutely love about this show is it's really showing, and like, maybe people want it, and maybe even I want eventually to see a more serious look at the ground level of people, how people feel about things. But between Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, and She-Hulk, they really have shown just what average, ordinary people feel about superheroes. Not only that, they've shown how average, ordinary people in the world have adjusted to superheroes, have like adjusted their culture, adjusted their way of thinking around superheroes' existence. It's no longer a big deal, or at least it's no longer this over-the-top shocking thing. I mean, last week's episode had fucking the Sorcerer Supreme in a courtroom But it wasn't built up like, oh my god, the sorceress. It's like, no, dude, like this is shit that happens. Even the week before that a fucking light elf and a shape-shifting light elf in the courtroom. I mean, Jen Walters is a Hulk. And I love the fact that they're really diving in, like, this isn't our world anymore. And I know some people are upset about that too. I know like John Campion and a couple other people have issues with, well, mostly John Campion, but have issues with there being so many superheroes and like, oh, well, they're not special anymore. But the thing about it is, I think that's what makes the MCU so special, is that this is a world full of superheroes. So in a world full of so many superheroes, the world itself has changed to become something totally different, to become more like the comics. Because in the comics, it's a lot like this. In the comics, you can have superheroes interacting. You can have normal people interacting with superheroes. A superhero can go into a coffee shop and whatnot. Some superheroes are bigger than other superheroes. Some superheroes are more famous than other superheroes. For instance, in the comics, for a long time, Captain Marvel was not that big of a deal. In fact, she was so not that big of a deal that during the entire House of M thing that happened, House of M comic, her wish was to be a big deal. So that just shows you that even in the comics, there was a level of notoriety for a superhero. And I love that this show really is getting into that, and it's really making the MCU, like I said, shows like Hawkeye, Ms. Marvel, and this make the MCU feel more like a universe. It makes it feel so expansive, especially since those shows are in such different locations. One's in Jersey City, this is in Los Angeles, and one's in New York. So in their different climates, the different view, and you just see the different ways people feel about the heroes and whatnot. And the fact that She-Hulk actually has a family. She has her mom, she has her dad, she has her cousin, Chad, who came in and really just started just annoying the fuck out of her up top. So I just really wanted to get into that because that's something that I'm absolutely loving about the show. It's just living in this world. Now, I know that's not for everybody. Some people really want a more narrative-driven story, but this ain't going for that. This is, now granted, I do think there is something, like I said, there's something building. Obviously, we still haven't answered the question of who wanted her blood. And I do think, once again, in this episode, last week's episode, sorry, the little tick for She-Hulk was the simple fact that the dude didn't want her as Jen. And then which made her start questioning, which kind of was saddening. And then again this week, the dude once again said, I don't really want you as Jen. And then this week episode was pretty much solely focused on her wanting the She-Hulk name. Not because, and they kind of played it up like a joke, like, oh, well, Titania selling these shitty products with the She-Hulk's name. But she wanted the name because she had kind of, granted, had ownership of the name. And everything to me is leading to her eventually doing what she does in the comics. Because in the comics, She-Hulk, there are like, as far as I know, there are like two different kind of versions of She-Hulk. There's the first version, which she was stuck in her She-Hulk form. She could not turn back to Jen. So she was stuck in her She-Hulk form. And then there's the second version, where she chose to be She-Hulk because she felt better, more confident, more, more alive, the best version of herself was She-Hulk, so she chose to stay in She-Hulk form. And I think we're starting to get, and that was something kind of introduced to the Dan Slott comic, and I think we're starting to get to that. I think we're starting to get to she is going to eventually want to just be She-Hulk, because being Jennifer Walters has not benefited her. It hasn't. She couldn't get dates as Jennifer Walters, or if she did, she'd get these awful people. She feels threatened and scared as Jennifer Walters. She said it herself. She has these great hair. She doesn't get hangovers. And they didn't say it, but she seems more confident and more and more, I don't know, just buzzing as She-Hulk. And I do feel like they have planted these seeds in the background while no one's looking, and I noticed it, where it is obviously leading to her wanting to just stay in She-Hulk form and Jennison, and never go back to being Jen Walters. Now, I'm not sure how they're going to do that because I don't know the budget of this show. So maybe they're going to wait until the end of the show for her to just be like, I'm done being Jennifer Walters. I'm just going to be She-Hulk from now on, which could happen. But That's the vibe I'm getting from this episode, is that's what's gonna happen. But also, we got this fun little thing going on with Pug, with her co-workers trying to find her a super suit. We've already kind of seen the suit, but we're gonna find out how she got the suit. And I do love the idea that now, like, there's so many superheroes in the world, that now there are people who specialize in creating costumes, suits for superheroes, suits that fit them, that scratch, that, like, literally are people who specialize in this. And this particular guy also has made the new Daredevil suit, which was a nice tease at the end, setting up that Daredevil will be here next episode. So overall, another fun week. Still dealing with it. Another fun week. Fun jokes. Oh, my favorite joke of the show was in this episode. My favorite joke of the show when they were talking about She-Hulk's clothes, because you gotta understand, it's gotta be really difficult to find clothes that fit you when literally you are technically two different size people. When you go from 5 foot nothing to 6'8", it's like, what? So she kind of has baggy clothes, or her clothes, and even when she's She-Hulk form, they just look kind of wrinkled because she's constantly, and when, what's her name? I can't remember her name, but the lawyer defendant said, you need to get better clothes because you look like an NFL player who's in a courtroom pleading non-guilty for a DUI. I was just like, damn. In my mind, I'm like, maybe I watch too much sports, but she really does look like that. That was pretty funny. But either way, I had a blast with this week's episode. It was really fun. It flew by because they didn't have a post-credit scene this time, so it kind of just flew by. But next week we're gonna get Daredevil, so that should also pick up the action a bit. Because like last week they had action, and I don't know if nobody else noticed, but I really enjoyed that action last week. So I was like, okay, they can do it. And the CGI on her was even way better when the action stuff was going down. So we shall see. But anyways, I give this episode an 8.5. Nothing 9s, nothing 10s, but it's an 8.5. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Guy Move Show. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.